Angad, let me come to you now and ask you about what the experience has been. You've only been in business since 2019. What are you seeing in terms of the paying capacity, in terms of digital adoption? What have been the big learnings for you?
Sure. So Shereen, two big learnings actually since we started executing. Firstly, the segment that we focus in, our consumers are typically coming from, low to mid-income consumer groups. So they are almost always short of wallet balances, and which means that they think very, very deeply before, spending any amount of money. A very peculiar characteristic of this behavior of this market is these consumers prefer, low ticket sizes and high frequency of purchases because they're always low on wallet balances. So low ticket sizes, high frequency is a very strong behavior that we see that these end consumers exhibit, which is actually very different from the behavior that consumers living in metro and tier 1 towns exhibit, which is much higher ticket sizes. And that's one of the key reasons why the traditional e-commerce companies have failed to penetrate into these consumer groups, because the supply chains are designed for much higher ticket sizes, and hence there's a need for a supply chain distribution innovation to get these consumers to sort of make the logistics work. The second big difference that we see, Shereen, is the fact that a lot of these consumers are traditionally offline buyers. Now moving them from being of much higher offline buying behavior, which requires social proof, which requires sort of trust, etc., and moving them to online is like a significant bigger leap for them, and hence there's a need for a very strong social assistance as well as social trust to bring these consumers into an online mode. And these are the two big, macros that we see. One is, low ticket size, high frequency kind of a behavior, and other is a very strong need for sort of trust and assistance to get them to, transact online. And, few of the things that you mentioned, which is voice, which is video, etc., helps do all of those.
Yeah, I hope people are watching this program. If they're interested in being able to tap this opportunity, this is some real, voices from the ground telling you what is going on in that market. But Mohit, I want to address the issue of funding. And, I'm looking at how much money you've raised, $62 million with $40 million in Series C in October of 2021. So, clearly, investors now buying this story.
Yeah, Shereen, we raised this round at the back of the COVID when buses have come to a halt. Cities were completely locked. But the good thing is, as cities got unlocked, people who were taking buses came back to buses. These were not the people who go and buy a second-hand car or a new two-wheeler. These are the people who had to go back to their factories, they had to go back to their government offices, they had to go back and open their shops. And while students are yet to come back to the colleges, but these are the people, these are people who are running our economy, and buses are non-discretionary to India's economy and city's economy. And that's true for India, and that's true for Bangkok and Manila and Jakarta and Cairo, right? So many emerging markets where this would be relevant actually. And everybody would understand that while we would have a COVID disruption and a slight bump, for a couple of months, but this is, buses are going to be here, and they're so much more fundamental. And I'll tell you one more thing, anecdotally, that for the first lockdown, it took us 9 months to come back to our pre-COVID level of, say, gross ticketing value, number of buses, and so on and so forth. But after the second lockdown, it took us 3 months to come back to the same level. And Chalo has been growing like a 40% month on month, September to October to November, and I see numbers for December now. We've been literally growing 30 to 40% every month. And I hope, good investors don't miss out on this one.
Well, clearly, some investors have not missed out on this opportunity. And I like what you said, that buses are not discretionary, at least certainly not in markets like ours or across many emerging markets. But Karanveer, I want to ask you as well. I mean, you've managed to raise $3 million. Is it easier now to take this story to investors, to pitch the story to investors? And more importantly, what does this now mean in terms of your growth plans?
So I think investors have realized that a lot of value can be generated in the rural part of our country. Bharat, they've seen some success stories. Chalo is there, CityMall is there. So any company that is solving a fundamentally large problem where they are able to show to the investors that there's a great product market fit, I think they should not have any challenge. We have gotten very good response. I remember when I went out to raise capital the first time, we received 4 term sheets, and at that time we could negotiate, and we had the luxury of choosing our investors. Even today, we are getting very good response from the investor community. Very soon, if things work out, very soon we'll be sharing some good news with you. But investors have become very, very optimistic about the opportunity in Bharat.
So how soon will you be sharing that good news with us?
So, allow me to come back to you. Give us, a couple of weeks.
Okay, with the promise that you will break that story first here on CNBC-TV18 on Young Turks. But we wish you the very best of luck with that, Karan. Angad, let me talk to you about growth and what the strategy is now from where you are today. I mean, what's lined up?
Sure. So we're seeing very, very strong traction, Shereen, and we are well capitalized, given the number of rounds that we've raised this year. So our business is growing at about 35-40% month on month, and we are seeing very strong product market fit. We are currently in about 15 districts in India, and in the next 12 to 18 months, our strategy has 2 key levers. One is to sort of expand geographically, which is expand from current 15 districts to about 65-70 districts by March 23. And other is to sort of go deeper in the current categories that we are already in. So we've already seen strong uptake in our essential categories, which is grocery and FMCG products, and the non-essential categories of fashion, electronics, etc. are also seeing good traction. So our strategy going forward is to sort of go deeper in our existing categories and grow geographically from current 15 districts to about 70 districts.
Okay, so go deep before you go wider. That's the strategy that you're taking forward at this point in time, Angad. But gentlemen, I want to end by getting closing comments from each of you. And Mohit, I'll start by asking you. We talked about the opportunities, and clearly there is plenty of headroom for further growth, and that is what you're betting on. But what do you believe startups need to be mindful of? Share with us some of your lessons, some of the mistakes made previously. If there were to be a course correction, what would you focus on?
Yeah, so 2 things I would say. Number 1 is founders start a company, to change the world, to make a difference. And that's what, prompted us to start something. And then, they build it for something for 6 months, 1 year, and they get funded. There is a Series A happen, Series B happen. And then they start changing different kind of metrics, right? Not necessarily the consumer metrics, not necessarily the metrics of the change the world, but they start changing a GTV or some contribution margin or something else, which may not obviously the best thing to do. And I'm saying it literally here as we all would have gone through it. Karan would know it, and so that's one. Just to focus on what we really started this company for, right? The vision. For example, Chalo got formed to solve daily commute. Chalo is formed to say, let's improve 100 million lives every day. And that's what you want to go and do it, right? And not get distracted. I think second thing is we often think small at times. We might start with Bharat, but I think this is relevant for everywhere. This is relevant, as I said, for multiple countries, for multiple emerging markets. Let's really build, not a unicorn, but a deca unicorn or a center unicorn, whatever it takes. We can build, $100 billion companies from this country. And let's go and build that, and not a stop until we have done that. Actually, I started Carvale and I thought not as big as I could have, and I think Chalo is going to deliver billions of rides every day.
I have to say more power to you and your team, and we do hope that you can take the Chalo story global as well. And yes, we've seen dozens of unicorns in 2021, and may that tribe continue to grow. But Karan, what's on the horizon as far as growth is concerned, as well as any learnings that you'd like to leave us with?
Absolutely. So I think all the founders, they need to look at whether they are solving a fundamental problem or not. And it is very imperative that you understand your market well. So I want to add to what Angad has said, that If you look at Bharat market primarily has 5 challenges that any online or any internet-based company has to solve. First is trust. Second is credibility. Third is you have to enable offline payment. Fourth is internet might not be very seamless at all the places. And fifth is you have to have a touch and feel factor built into your business model. So a business model that might work for India might not work for Bharat. So you have to pay very close attention to your target market, your customers, to understand them better. As far as growth is concerned, Shereen, we are growing really fast. In a very small span of time, we have scaled our business. Today, we serve close to 4 million users across, as you rightly said, 16 states and 8 different languages. We believe that the product and the experience that we have built is relevant not just for our country, but adjoining countries as well. For instance, if you look at Bangladesh, if you look at growing countries like Indonesia, they have the same problem that we face as far as the rural part of our country is concerned. There are a lot of companies that are solving the urban problem, but there are very few companies that are looking at solving this deep-rooted rural problem. And in any developing country across the world, the kind of product and experiences that we are building, they are relevant. So opportunity within our country is immense. I agree with what Mohit has said, that there's a huge opportunity to not just build a billion, but multi-billion-dollar companies. So I think, and I keep saying this to my investors and everybody else, that Bharat has the potential to bring multiple unicorns. So the opportunity is immense.
Angad, let me ask you, do you also have plans to take CityMall global?
So not anytime soon, Shereen. I think the Bharat market is quite deep, and we've just started, and we can build, and we are operating in an extremely large category, which is retail. So not anytime soon, but never say never.
Never say never. And we wish the three of you the very best of luck. Thanks so much for joining us here on Young Turks and sharing your insights, your stories, your journey, as well as your growth plans with us. We wish you all the very best of luck. We will take a break here on Young Turks. Don't go anywhere. We're right back with you on CNBC TV 18 with a lot more.